Hello, my name is Richard Sinclair, head coach of Sinclair Fitness. This webinar is fat loss for beginners. So by the end of it, you should have all the tools and knowledge you need to know what it takes to lose fat. Okay, learning objectives. Understanding the fundamentals of fat loss. Understanding macronutrients. What are they and why they're important. And understanding the process and your options as an individual when it comes to losing weight. So what really matters? What are the big rocks? What's going to move the needle the most? I always like to think of things as a chessboard. What's the king and the queen? What's the most important thing? Understanding the big rocks. I said that, didn't I? Yes, I did. When it comes to losing fat, the most important thing, the fundamental thing, is calories in versus calories out. All food has calories, some more than others. If you overconsume, you're going to gain fat. If you underconsume, you're going to lose fat. Unfortunately, this gives us a lot more questions than answers. Yes, this is the fundamental principle, but how are you as an individual going to apply that to your life? Hopefully, this webinar will give you some answers and some help. So, here are some examples of some diets, and here are the mechanisms of those diets. They're all calorie deficits. It doesn't matter what you do. Low carb, keto, low fat, vegan. It's about creating a calorie deficit. Your diet should not have a name. Okay? We know the rules, so we can play within those rules rather than restricting anything. You don't have to restrict any food or any type of food in the diet. You need to do things smart, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, biggest rock. Alluding to the research, the biggest difference between weight gain and losing weight is how much you cook and eat fresh food versus how much you eat pre-prepared processed food. So if you eat a lot of processed food, you can probably lose weight without even counting calories. Just cook from home more and do some more steps according to the research. When we are losing weight, we do want to work from a normative value. So how much we want to lose a week. We want to be aiming to lose 0.2, a quarter, or a kilo per week. Smaller female, quarter, larger male, 1 kilogram. It will depend on you as an individual, your weight, and your training history. So a little bit more complex here, but very, very important. So, okay, we've established that calories are the fundamental thing that makes us gain or lose weight, but where do we use most of our calories? If you're a car, where do you use most of your fuel? Is it ferrying your kids to nursery? Is it going to see your mates? Is it doing donuts in Sainsbury's car park? Who knows? So at the bottom here in the blue, 60%, that is your BMR, or basal metabolic rate. That's just a fancy way of saying how many calories does it take to run your body if I put you in a coma? So your organs, all the subconscious processes of your body, like your heart beating, all the things you don't think about. It takes a lot of calories, like 60%. And as you gain more muscle, this number goes up. Okay, so it's one of the reasons why we want to resistance train if we want to lose weight and keep weight off. At the top here in green, we've got thermic effective food. This just means 10% of the total calories you use in a day go towards just processing the food you eat. We've got this red, this thermic effective food. NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Just a fancy way of saying movement that isn't exercise, blinking, walking, fidgeting, 20%, which is quite a lot, it's a fifth. And unfortunately, the bad news is this 10% in yellow is exercise thermogenesis. You do not burn or use that many calories exercising, unfortunately. So if you had the perception of I can keep everything the same in my life and just exercise and that will fix it, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not how it works because of the small dent of calorie use exercise actually makes. So the point I want to make with this slide, okay, the take home is you cannot out-train a bad diet, okay? Has to start with lifestyle, has to start with food. Let's go back to this one. This slide is just what I mean by architecture is how many calories you consume in a day and how many calories you use up during exercise and what you consume within a week. And when I sit a client down, when I first ask them, what's your diet look like? All of them, and I mean all of them, say the same thing. It's good, I eat healthy. But this is actually what they mean. After about 5 minutes and asking enough questions, they finally admit, they drink a bit on Thursday, because apparently Thursday's new Friday, and then on the weekend it all goes out the window. If we can tidy this up, we can still eat foods we enjoy, but we can be more structured and tidy this up and be a bit more smart and organized, which I will help you with. I am a coach, that is my job. Then you will lose weight. Okay? Already said that. Another point I want to make is you can undo an entire week of dieting in a few hours. I can smash some minstrels and pizza and a few glasses of wine and undo that calorie deficit in minutes. Okay? So this is the second part of the webinar, which is just understanding macronutrients. So the first part was calories. Okay, it's the most important thing, and we're going to audit your kind of architecture of your life. But the second part is understanding macronutrients. All food is either one of these things. It's either a protein, a fat, and a carb. Each one of these plays a vital role in the human body. Protein, you are protein, you're made of protein. Your muscles are made of protein. Very, very important. Carbohydrates, your main fuel source for your body. Okay. And fats are your secondary fuel source and are used to transport hormones. So any diet that restricts one of these macronutrients is wrong and bad. And if anybody says otherwise, send them to me. I'll straighten them out because they don't know what they're talking about. So a few examples. Proteins are your meats like egg whites, tofu. Carbs are breads, vegetables and rice. Fats are oils, cheese and avocado. The point I want to make with this slide is you'll struggle to hit your macronutrient goals eating mixed or processed food because the carbohydrates are mixed together. So I eat a burger, yes, it's got protein in, but it's also got a lot of fat in, which is a lot of calories in. So you want to eat single ingredient whole foods for 80% of your diet to lose weight. If you're sitting there going, I don't understand what foods to buy, I'm really confused. Hold up, I got you. I will provide you with a PDF, a shopping list for each individual macronutrients, and then I will provide meals you can make with these macronutrients. So I've got you, okay? I will help you out there. Again, I've made this point. Hitting your macro goals will be difficult if you eat mixed food. I love salmon, I love cheese. Who doesn't? But they're high in fat. So yes, they have protein in, but they are mixed macronutrients. So you're going to struggle. And nuts, people seem to think nuts are a health food. They're not bad, but they are very calorie dense because they are a lot of fat. So they're not single ingredient foods, which is what we want for fat loss. This is a macronutrient ratio. So imagine this is a plate. This is kind of the architecture. So if you're eating a lot of processed food, this is probably what your macronutrient ratio looks like. Very, very high in fat, very low in protein, very high in carbs. Even this burger, delicious as it looks, is probably more fat than anything else than protein. Okay, so this is a macronutrient ratio. Another point I want to make, and I say this because I've worked with vegetarians and vegans, is you need to know the difference between eating for macros, which I just talked about, versus micros. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. When I start working with a vegan or a vegetarian, they're like, oh no, it's not my diet. That's not the issue. I eat healthy. And this is what they mean. They eat the majority of carbohydrates, which are vegetables, because vegetables are healthy, and very little protein and very little starchy carbs. There's a lack of balance in their diet because protein and meat is bad. There are substitutes and alternatives, but this might be the reason you have an undesirable body composition. And we'll work on that together. I have a list, a PDF of recommended vegan or vegetarian options for protein sources. Okay, so if you are serious about losing weight, this is what your plate should look like. So you should roughly half of your plate should be a lean protein source. Lots of vegetables, because I've never eaten a broccoli and gone, I just couldn't stop eating broccoli and steak. I just couldn't help myself. Both of these are extremely satiating and filling. It's okay to have some starchy carbs, more than welcome, and some fat. This is an optimal macronutrient ratio to lose fat. Let's talk about protein. You don't get enough protein, trust me. It increases fullness, so the protein is very satiating. It preserves and builds muscle, so when we're losing fat, your body also wants to get rid of muscle. This is called gluconeogenesis. We don't want you to lose muscle. That's the thing that makes you look aesthetic and toned. Even if you don't want a lot of it, which totally we can do, you want to preserve it at all costs. Okay, so for every kilogram of your body weight, we want 2 grams of protein. So if I'm 100 kilograms, I want 200 grams of protein. Again, it's not about eating healthy. It's about eating enough. There's the difference between those two things. Okay. Alcohol. Talk about this quickly. You cannot burn fat in your system if you have alcohol. Within 3 months, you need to reduce your alcohol intake to once, or optimally every 2 weeks. I'm not negotiating with anyone. If you struggle not to drink in a week, I can't help you. I honestly can't help you. I don't think we should work together. I'm not trying to be mean or a dick, but if you want to affect reality, you have to live in reality and accept it for what it is and accept the consequences. I can't do anything about changing reality, but I can help you achieve it. So I just want that to sit with you. So if you are someone who habitually consumes low levels of alcohol weekly, then that's the reason. That's definitely the reason, or you're eating processed foods. And we just clean that up. Okay? So don't bring me problems, bring me solutions, Richard. So you need to know what to buy. That I will coach you through. That I will provide you with. And you have options. You have options. It's not restrictive. It's just knowing what those options are. I provide PDFs for that. Knowing what to prepare. Again, not leaving you at sea. What meals? When I say meals, I mean quick, convenient, tasty meals. Not something that's going to take you 2 hours. You have to bury underground and use a spice that, is only plucked by orphans to make. Something, practical, time saving, because we're all time poor these days, and we're building that long-term habit. I want you to think of it as a project. Okay, so you have a few options as far as fat loss goes. If you're going down the coaching route with me, we're going to do a habit analysis. So we're going to have a Zoom session where we look at the architecture of your life and see what it is and do an audit of it. We're there going to get rid of all the junk in your house. We're going to do the shopping list task. We're going to nail your protein with a task. We're going to nail your calories with a task. And then we're going to nail self-measuring with a task. And this will build the habit so you can lose fat long term. So options, these are your options. So you can use meal plan. I will give you a meal plan if that's what you want. I can tell you what to eat, when to eat it, be very precise. I can give you rough macro and calorie goals. You can go down the coaching and education with me if you select that. You can use meal prep companies. At the end of this, there's going to be a questionnaire, a few questions, but you can select your preference for dieting in this and what fat loss method you want to use. Meal prep companies, if you don't know, people deliver food to your door. That's actually, the calories are counted. It's very, very tasty. Again, I have a PDF of all the recommended companies I would use. List provided. And I want you to remember, you're doing all this for an outcome. And you will get an outcome if you commit. And if you see this as an education process to better your life and think of it long term. Okay, these are a few of my clients. They look very happy with their results. So I hope this helps. Goodbye.